Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
It is cold this morning, and we still have a little bit of very light freezing mist and drizzle in spots. Where that is, when it's going to be coming to an end, and what's in store for the weekend.
And multiple countries are condemning Russia this morning after it launched an attack on Ukraine. Details just ahead.
And outside with live cam right now, see how things are looking out there. It's cold, and we do have some moisture showing up on radar. Mike will tell you more about that. And we have just a handful of school delays to tell you about momentarily. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday. It is February 24th.
Thanks for joining us today. Definitely stay cold all night long, and this morning kind of tough to get out there.
And tough to get out of bed this morning. Mike joins us now with the very latest on the situation. And Steph and I were talking right before the newscast. Roads seem pretty good here in town. Well,
again, we go back to a couple of days ago. We were at 85 degrees, Monday, Tuesday. So the ground is very, very warm. And for the most part, and, talking to everybody in the newsroom, Sarah Spivey, who's going to be out talking about some of this little freezing mist out there. The roads are pretty dry. I mean, that's not a problem. On my deck walking out the back door, there's just a couple
slight glaze.
Just a couple little spots, and it doesn't take much. So just watch it. There's really no problems on any of the overpasses right now, but just watch out for that little bit of maybe some ice out there. Obviously, very cloudy skies, and we do have some of this light freezing drizzle. This is obviously heavy enough to be picked up on radar, and all this continues to kind of work its way off to the east. We are at 32 degrees right now, so right at freezing. We've actually come up just a couple of notches in the past hour. 31 Randolph, and then there's the dividing line, and then 20 still in portions of the hill country. We have enough of a breeze out there right now to give us a wind chill. Feels like 26, 20 Boerne State, and 22 is the wind chill in New Braunfels. And of course, we do still have the winter weather advisory in effect up until noon. So we'll continue to keep just a little bit, and even what's not showing up on radar right now, just the very finest of mist out there. But again, the roads for the most part are dry. It's just a couple of those elevated surfaces where there may be a problem. Watch it walking out your back door this morning. Mountain cedar, moderate, low amounts of everything else out there. So this morning temperatures will stay fairly steady, right around 30, right around freezing. Again, just the slightest bit of some light freezing drizzle. It's not a huge event, but it doesn't take much as far as, one or two little patches right there. And then that's going to be coming to an end. We'll have basically cloudy skies today, and we will make it up to 40. Perhaps another bit of precipitation tomorrow morning that could freeze, and then we'll talk about a better rain chance going in toward the weekend. Steph, Mark?
Thank you, Mike. A few school districts are delaying classes this morning. That's Comel ISD, Luling ISD, Harper ISD, and San Marcos CISD are on 2-hour start delays. Comel ISD officials said school start times will be 9:35 a.m. for elementary schools, 10:15 a.m. for middle schools, and 10:55 a.m. for high schools. Buses will pick up students at their scheduled stops 2 hours later than usual, and that's going on as well. Check KSAT.com for the latest updates.
New overnight, Russian troops have now officially launched their anticipated attack on Ukraine. You're taking a live look at Kiev. The advisor to Ukraine's president says about 40 people have been killed so far in this invasion. Russian President Vladimir Putin is now ignoring international condemnation and sanctions and is warning other countries that any attempt to interfere would lead to, quote, consequences you have never seen, end quote. Big explosions were heard before dawn in Kyiv. World leaders are condemning the invasion that could cause massive casualties and topple Ukraine's democratically elected government. President Joe Biden now pledging new sanctions meant to punish Russia for this act of aggression. He's expected to make a statement on the attacks to the nation later today.
This morning, Castroville's police chief is on administrative leave. Brian Jackson is accused of using a racial slur several times during a murder investigation. The concern was brought to light by the Medina County Sheriff, who says he heard the inappropriate language caught on body camera. Castroville City Council announced the move to place their police chief on administrative leave after an hours-long meeting. Castroville's mayor is saying the city does not tolerate discrimination and they are investigating. He also said, in part, quote, "We believe in all human rights, so we will not discipline simply on rumors or hearsay, but we will act decisively if we determine guilt of discrimination," end quote.
Now to the Breonna Taylor case. The Louisville woman shot and killed during a botched police raid.
The former officer who was executing a no-knock search warrant at Taylor's home that night is now on trial. Here's ABC's Mona Kassar Abdi with more.
I believe we are ready for opening statements.
The trial of former Louisville police officer Brett Hankison, the only officer involved in the raid on Breonna Taylor's apartment to face criminal charges, now getting underway. Hankison is charged with wanton endangerment for firing 10 shots during the raid that took Breonna Taylor's life nearly 2 years ago. He was dismissed months after the raid, the former chief of Louisville police saying Hankison fired, quote, blindly into Taylor's apartment.
Debris started going past my head, my face, which I pretty much knew because, I heard the shots, pretty much knew that it was gunfire coming through the wall.
None of those shots hit Taylor, but several bullets entered a neighbor's apartment, endangering Cody Etherton, his pregnant girlfriend, and their 5-year-old child.
Like 1 or 2 more inches and I would have been shot, which kind of upsets me because I think about it all the time and I'm like, my son would have never even got to meet me. I would have never even got to meet my son.
But Hankison's attorney argued he was simply doing his job, defending his fellow officers conducting the raid.
He returned fire in the direction of where he had seen the original shot come from within the apartment. He was attempting to defend and save the lives of his brother officers who he thought were still caught in what they call the fatal funnel in that doorway. His actions were reasonable and justified given the chaotic situation he was in.
Mona Kassar Abdi, ABC News, New York.
A Nevada man's been charged with the murder of a 4-year-old who was found dead in a freezer. Brandon Toslin is now facing a murder and multiple kidnapping charges. Officials believe he killed his girlfriend's son, whose body was found inside a freezer in a Las Vegas area home on Tuesday. Authorities went to the home after the victim's mother gave her daughter a note to give to her school. The note said the mother was being held against her will and she believed her son was dead. Investigators suspect the child died in early December. Toslin is set to appear in court again on February 28th. He's being held without bond.
In East Texas, Deputy Constable was killed and a suspect wounded in a shooting in a Houston shopping mall. That shooting happened yesterday afternoon in the Plaza Americas Mall in southeastern Houston. Details on what led to those shootings not immediately known, but Constable Roy Rogers of San Jacinto County Precinct 1 says the officer shot was one of his deputies. There was no immediate word on the suspect's condition. San Jacinto County is about 45 miles north of Houston.
Right now, 437, about 32 degrees.
And coming up next, we are checking out some extreme bull riding from the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo.
Road crews were out and about again overnight here in the San Antonio area, dropping down some of that brine solution on susceptible roadways due to freezing conditions. But again, an overall lack of moisture has put us in a pretty good situation this morning. Still, slow down, be careful out there just in case.
And taking a look outside with live cam. Yeah, not too bad on the roadways here in the immediate area, but it's still cold out there. 32 degrees, very chilly. Bundle up. We'll be right back.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
Welcome back. The Dallas Cowboys have some decisions to make when free agency opens next month. And one of those decisions revolves around star wide receiver Amari Cooper, where the Cowboys must decide if his 5-year, $100 million contract continues. That's because there's a clause in his contract that allows the Cowboys to pull out of the deal. That decision has to be made before March 21st because that's when Coop's $20 million salary for the 2022 season is guaranteed. If they cut Cooper, they would gain $16 million in cap space they could use to sign Michael. They could use to sign Michael Gallup and other receivers. Meanwhile, former Cowboys quarterback, 3-time Super Bowl champ Troy Aikman is in negotiations to become the new lead analyst on Monday Night Football on ESPN. According to the New York Post, the now Fox lead NFL analyst looking to sign a deal comparable or better than Tony Romo's 10-year, $180 million deal with CBS. Spurs are finally back in action tomorrow night, taking on the Wizards in Washington. Tip-off is set for 6 o'clock tomorrow evening at Capital One Arena in D.C. Now to the Stock Show and Rodeo, checking out some of the oh my gosh moments from this week's extreme bull riding that kept the bullfighters busy. Lucchese Morris on board assault and battery, second round. He lived up to his name. Not only does the bull collide with his head, but then he gets hung up in the rigging momentarily. Then how about the way you don't want to get off a bowl? Kobe Radley thrown head over heels by Bottled Up. It all continues tonight at the AT&T Center. It's a rough work if you can find it.
Oh my goodness. Time now 4:42 and 32 degrees for now. If you're having trouble sleeping, up next we're going to take a look at the options to give you a longer night's rest.
And next, we'll tell you how a mom got her teenage son to stay off social media for 6 whole years.
And welcome back. It's 4:45. The Minnesota mom got her teenage son to stay off social media for 6 years. Well, how did she do it? ABC's Doreen Shaw has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, we're hearing from a mother who successfully challenged her teen to stay off social media for 6 years.
We were just in the kitchen and my mom just went up to me. She's like, "Hey, Steve, would you ever want to do this? I'll give you $1,800 on your 18th birthday if you stay off social media."
Lorna Klefstad says she took a gamble and made a deal with her then 12-year-old son, Cyber. She calls the 18 for 18 challenge. Stay off social media until you turn 18 and earn $1,800.
I was like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that sounds great, $1,800.
It was kind of just a spur of the moment thing. I knew how competitive he was. I knew he'd want to win.
The mom of 4 says she had seen Cyber's older sister struggle with the pressures of social media and was hoping to avoid that with her youngest son. And coming up at 8 a.m., we'll have the expert tips on how to limit your teen's social media exposure. With your GMA First Look, I'm Doreen Shaw, ABC News.
4:46. More than half of Americans say they're not getting the uninterrupted sleep they need.
12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz takes a look at sleep supplements and whether they could be a dream come true.
Breast cancer survivor Kelly Goldstein had trouble falling asleep for years. Her doctor prescribed Ambien.
I was happy with the fact that it knocked me out. Was not thrilled with the side effects that came along with it. Oftentimes there would be, a bag of popcorn next to my bed, half eaten.
The uncommon sleep eating side effects made Kelly uneasy, so she tried the dietary supplement melatonin.
It allowed you to sort of feel sleepy and then get ready for bed.
Melatonin is a naturally produced hormone that regulates our sleep-wake cycle.
It's a good option for people who may not produce enough of the hormone, and it might also help people who are jet-lagged or work night shifts.
Store shelves are stocked with pills that are supposed to help you sleep, like valerian root, used for centuries to treat insomnia, and vitamin D. Some research suggests that if your levels are low, adding it may help you nod off faster and sleep longer. And if it's restless leg syndrome keeping you up, your doctor may suggest iron. But be wise when you shop.
The Food and Drug Administration doesn't hold supplements to the same standard that they do prescription and over-the-counter drugs. They also don't verify what the labels say are in the supplements.
There are groups that do. They test supplements for contaminants like metals or pesticides, so look for their seals. You can also supplement your supplements, like Kelly does with her noise machine. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
And a quick look at the roads with TransGuide. There's a look there at I-35 in New Braunfels. Things are moving there. It doesn't appear to be too icy, at least in these areas. I-37 at Pecan Valley.
Saw flashing lights in one shot that popped up right as we were about to take it. We'll try to find out where that was and get some information. But thankfully, the moisture is limited. I live out in Stone Oak. There was a glaze all over my truck in the driveway this morning.
But your drive-in was okay.
It was. It was. And Mike joins us now with more on that.
That's what Sarah Spivey, who's going to be out just showing where there is and isn't, more importantly, any sort of ice or anything like that, was saying the same thing. I didn't see anything. A little bit on the deck. The railing, barely little spots here and there. And Stephen Cavasso is going to be in a second, and he said he was talking to TransGuide, and they haven't seen any big problems out there, but he'll elaborate on that. So as you were talking about, a little bit of ice on your truck, Mark, and any elevated surface like that. This is up in Spring Branch, had some and has maybe some ice on it. Here's what it looks like out there by the airport. We actually have some fog in places too. Visibility is down. Here's the latest with radar. And as you can see, everything detectable. There is still some fine mist out there, but it's hardly doing really anything. But the detectable precipitation, be it rain, be it freezing rain as well off to the east. And notice how it was all pink and now it's sort of changing over a little bit. So it's kind of hitting that line where there may be a pocket of some slightly warmer air over there just to the southeast of Gonzales. Some of this was around Seguin. There had been an okay amount around Wilson County and still a little bit around Floresville, Stockdale, but we are talking very, very small amounts. Obviously, it doesn't take much. If there's an icy patch on the roads, you got to definitely watch it this morning. Just be on the lookout for it. But this, we really missed out with this one, thankfully, because like Mark was alluding to, the moisture is just not there at all. Visibility at the airport's 10 miles, Pleasanton 3, and then you head out 10 and you run into more of that fog, Victoria, and then some out in portions of the hill country as well, the reduced visibility. So watch out for that. Temperatures, again, the dividing line is just about cutting right through Bexar County. Port St. at freezing, Randolph, the airport, and then Stinson's at 35 degrees. Obviously colder temperatures up there to the north, and we have that wind chill to deal with. So it's not a big breeze, but it's just enough to really put a bite in some of those temperatures out there. So bundle up. Here's the computer model. It does keep a little bit of this precipitation around, but it is coming to an end, and I think once this comes in with another run and reinitializes, it's going to take that and put it off to the east, and then by later on this morning, most everything is going to be out of here. We'll have pretty much just cloudy skies, perhaps a peak of sunshine off to the northwest, then more clouds come back in. It does look like we get another little bit of moisture trying to move in here from the southeast tomorrow morning. Cold enough in northern portions of the hill country that could be a little bit of mixed precipitation and a few light little sprinkles elsewhere. Then that will come to an end, and we'll have limited sunshine tomorrow afternoon. Then we get into the weekend, and now temperatures, albeit will be very cold, they're going to be above freezing. We'll have the better rain chance, looks like, on Saturday. 37 degrees today at noon. So again, we're flirting right around freezing. We should come right above freezing in the next few hours, about 8, 9 o'clock. And the rain will be ending off to the east, and 40 for a high temperature later on this afternoon, about 25 degrees below normal. Tomorrow, slight bit of freezing drizzle, very few and far between as far as any little spots of rain. It is not going to be a huge deal again tomorrow, but there will be one or two of those little spots here and there. 43 for a high temperature, and then we start off just above freezing on Saturday. We will have a better rain chance on Saturday. It's going to be a hunker down inside, 45 degrees, and then a little more sunshine Sunday, and we get back up into the 60s by the first of next week.
Well, the way you've got it there, by the time more significant moisture comes in, we should be well above freezing?
Yeah, there could be a couple little spots in the hill country, low-lying areas. But yeah, Saturday is just going to be pretty much a wet, bone-chilling day.
Okay, we'll try to stay inside. Thanks, Mike.
4:52, about 32 degrees out at the airport.
And one of the most popular movies so far this year is at the box office, finally coming home.
Spider-Man finally has a way home, plus Ozark is finally ending on Netflix.
For the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
My sole purpose on this earth is to love Roxanne.
What does the new film Cyrano have to say about love? Director Joe Wright tells me a lot.
Don't be afraid to allow yourself to be seen. Don't be afraid of intimacy, although it's very understandable that we are. And remember to tell the one you love that you love them.
Cyrano stars Peter Dinklage and Wright's real-life partner Haley Bennett. It's in theaters tomorrow.
That's right, folks. Spider-Man is in fact Peter Parker.
Spider-Man is leaving theaters and coming home. Sony announcing that last year's highest-grossing film, Spider-Man No Way Home, will be available for digital rental March 22nd. And the Blu-ray and DVD with all the bonus material will be out April 12th.
My childhood traumas are not like yours.
It's our first look at the end of Ozark. Netflix releasing a very brief sneak peek at the final 7 episodes of the Emmy-winning show, and also revealing the date when they'll drop, April 29th. The first half of the final season premiered last month. And today will hopefully be a good day for O'Shea Jackson Jr., the Straight Outta Compton star turns 31, while actor and activist Edward James Olmos is 75. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Just about 3 minutes till 32 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, we're going to have reaction from President Biden and other world leaders on Russia's attack on Ukraine.
Plus, Target customers could soon have more incentive to order curbside pickup. We'll explain why coming up in your Tech Bites.
And a quick look at the roads with TransGuide. There are those flashing lights that we saw earlier there at I-35 and Cesar Chavez. We'll be checking in with Stephen Cavazos very soon.
San Antonio starts right now.
It is still bone-chilling cold. Many areas are below freezing. How much precipitation is there, and is it freezing? We'll answer that question coming up.
A full-scale Russian attack on Ukraine appears to be happening right now, and President Biden is set to address the nation later on today. I'm ABC's Faith Abube in Washington. The latest coming up.
And taking a look outside with live cam this morning, we're at a cold 32 degrees, but the roads, at least closer to home, don't look too bad this morning.
And a good morning to you. It is Thursday, February 24th.
And it feels like February. I think Mother Nature is reminding us, hey, we are still in this month. Let's enjoy it, I guess.
That's right. We do have some school delays we want to tell you about this morning. And I think that's first up this morning. Right? Yeah, there we go. Yep, few school districts are delaying classes this morning.
That's right. We have Comal ISD, Luling ISD, Harper ISD, and San Marcos C ISD. They are on 2-hour start delays, so you can check our website at KSAT.com for the latest updates.
Now to Mike Ostrage and then Stephen for the very latest.
All right, we do still have a little bit of precipitation out there this morning, although what is here in and around town is that extremely fine mist, and the roads are pretty dry. Stephen's going to talk more about that, but none of us really saw anything coming into work this morning. We're at 32 degrees out there at the airport, and we still have a lot of humidity. We still have some moisture out there. Temperatures are not going to warm up all that much, but the important thing is we will get up above freezing later on this morning and then get up to about 40 degrees later on this afternoon. As far as the aquifer, yesterday went down 0.6 of a foot, and the allergens, once again, just a laundry list out there. Mountain cedar was moderate, everything else on the low side. All right, here's what radar looks like right now. There is still some precipitation, and I use that phrase because some of it is in the form of freezing, some is in liquid form, and as you can see, it is all well off to the east. Now, here in town, there has been a little bit of just some very, very light mist out there, but it is too light to be picked up on radar, and everything, again, continues to work its way well off to the east. There was some down around, still a little bit in Wilson County and over by Gonzales, and notice how it's kind of going back and forth between maybe freezing and just liquid form, and then there was even some that was probably just even snow mixed in well out to the east of Luling. So we did use the term dodge a bullet because there was no moisture associated really with this. Very, very limited. There is still some icing spots. I had some on the railing of my back deck when I walked out this morning. So just kind of watch that on any of the elevated surfaces. And also we do have some fog. Visibility 2.5 miles Pleasanton, 3 New Braunfels, and elsewhere out in the hill country, Rock Springs, some of that fog, Carrizo Springs, and then off to the east. Temperatures, we've got, a lot of freezing readings around there, and then we've got the wind chills to deal with. The dividing line with the freezing line is right about the middle of Bexar County, but it's those wind chills that really add that bite. So definitely bundle up this morning, and we'll have that light freezing drizzle, some mist out there as well. And then we are going to be seeing rain come to an end this morning. Cloudy skies, 40 degrees. A little bit of light freezing drizzle is possible tomorrow morning, especially well off to the east and well up to the north. And then we'll have skies kind of clear out slightly by tomorrow afternoon. More showers coming in here than on Saturday. We're going to toss to Sarah right now. Negative. Okay, we'll toss to Stephen Cavazos with Traffic Authority and see what's going on the road. Stephen?
Hey, thanks a lot, Mike. And thankfully, we haven't seen major issues out there on the roadways, but this is definitely a big problem for drivers heading up north on 35 here at Cesar Chavez. Let's take a look at this shot for just a moment. You can see some flumes of smoke that are coming there off in the distance. This is an overnight fire that was reported. We're also spotting some flames that look like they're flickering out there. That could be first responders working to clear this up, but it is definitely creating problems for people that may have to exit Cesar Chavez right now. You can see we do have that exit blocked at this time. Let's go ahead and take you into the map and show you where, again, that exit is going to be closed there off I-35 northbound at Cesar Chavez Boulevard. Keep in mind, this has been going on since probably a little after midnight. So we know it's been a long night for first responders, but you got to be careful out there. Make sure you are taking it safe, especially when you're trying to navigate through some of that smoke. Right now, overall view of the map shows that thankfully we are still pretty much in great shape. Quiet start to this morning. Thankfully, also TxDOT crews were out there pre-treating the roads, some areas like I-10 and 1604. So just remember, as Mike said, make sure to take it easy out there this morning. No delays if you're traveling into San Antonio. 26 across the board from Bernie on I-10, eastbound Boulevard, southbound on 281, and right now New Braunfels southbound 35. We're looking in good shape as well. But the big problem right now is going to be this mess off 35 at Cesar Chavez. Let's head over to Katrina Weber, who is live there on the ground. Katrina, again, a very long night for those first responders.
Very long. In fact, we're in the 6th hour now of firefighting. This fire actually called out about 11 o'clock last night. It's still going strong. These flames just won't die. When we got here, we saw firefighters with 2 aerial hoses hitting this fire from above, and yet the flames just wouldn't die. Now, what the flames that you see there were actually part of a huge chimney. There was a tower of flames up until about 10 minutes ago when that whole thing just collapsed. And that has been part of the issue for firefighters. They've had to fight this from the outside because of the fear of this building collapsing. Now, this is the 500 block of urban loop off of Cesar Chavez and I-35. This building was abandoned, according to the fire chief. I did some research into it, and I could tell that this building, according to what I find online, is 17,000 plus square feet. So firefighters have had a huge building to contend with, and they have had a hard time trying to put out this fire. Apparently, no injuries as far as we know. No one inside the building because, again, it was abandoned. But firefighters were worried about their safety, and that is the reason they've been fighting this from outside. It's too early to tell exactly how this started, but they suspect that perhaps there were some homeless people in here who may have contributed to that fire because, again, not occupied, no utilities going to that building. Reporting live downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
The much feared full-scale Russian military assault on Ukraine is happening right now.
Ukrainian officials say Russian troops crossed the border near several major cities in the early morning hours there and are attacking Ukraine on the ground and with aerial bombs. ABC's Faith Abube has the latest.
This morning, Ukraine's military air bases, key infrastructure and air defense systems under Russian attack. The country waking up to air sirens and Russian ballistic missiles going off. This video capturing a plume of smoke and an explosion in the distance near Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. More reports of flares and sounds of explosions in several eastern cities and near the nation's capital of Kyiv. Our Ian Panel is there.
I've seen a large flash in the distance over there, again followed by a boom some minutes later.
Russian President Vladimir Putin essentially declaring a full-blown war overnight, saying a special Russian military operation is underway in Ukraine.
I think we've passed the point of no return.
In a new video, Ukraine's president telling civilians to stay inside and remain calm, and then calling on the world to respond to the Russian attacks. But overnight, Putin warning that any countries that interfere with its plans in Ukraine will face, quote, consequences they have never seen. The UN Secretary General in an Emergency Security Council meeting urging Putin to instead give peace a chance. As the session wrapped up, the Ukrainian ambassador confronting his Russian counterpart.
There is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell, Ambassador.
And President Biden will address the nation later on today, announcing what he says will be severe sanctions to punish Russia. They could involve cutting off Russia from all Western financial institutions. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
We will keep you updated all morning long right here on GMSA and on KSAT.com on the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has now officially begun. 5:08, about 32 degrees.
And Target is offering some of its curbside customers more pickup options. We're going to tell you about the added features.
And an update on selling Grand Hyatt Hotel downtown San Antonio and how the city would benefit from the sale.
And taking a look outside with live cam. Linda Luff, it is very cold out there, and it's kind of going to stay cold all day long. We'll be right back.
Go back 5:12 on your Thursday morning. San Antonio could soon get millions of taxpayer dollars if a downtown building is sold.
It all has to do with the Grand Hyatt Hotel, which sits right next to the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center downtown. So years ago, the city put up bonds for the hotel, and now the Hyatt company is planning to sell the building to a liability company from Arizona that operates a nonprofit organization. If the deal goes through, the city would get some benefits.
We're removing the city's requirement to back any sort of debt that was issued for the bond. We're getting all of our money paid back that's owed from the ground lease since 2008 and the $10 million we put in when the hotel was closed.
That's not all. The city would also own the land the hotel sits on. City Council is scheduled to vote on the proposal next week. The city says despite the change, the Hyatt would still operate as a hotel.
5:13, still about 32 degrees.
And still ahead, why the U.S. Postal Service will not be buying any more electric mail trucks.
And Spotify is debuting its first ever bookcast. We'll explain.
Did you know that your fabrics trap more than just odors? They also trap bacteria. Better get Febreze Fabric Antimicrobial. Its water-based formula penetrates fabrics to kill 99.9% of bacteria, and it eliminates odors. Spray it on your furniture, your rugs, your clothes. Wherever bacteria and odors hide, you can even sanitize your car seats. For a deeper clean and a freshness you'll love, try Febreze Fabric Antimicrobial.
I don't just play someone brainy on TV. I'm an actual neuroscientist, and I love the science behind Nariva Plus. Unlike ordinary memory supplements, Nariva Plus fuels 6 key indicators of brain performance. More brain performance, yes please. Nariva, think bigger.
Before you go there, or there, start here. Walgreens makes it easy to stay protected wherever you go. Schedule your free COVID-19 booster today.
In today's Tech Bites, Target is looking to expand its curbside services. Customers in test markets will be allowed to make a return without having to enter the store, and they can also order Starbucks through the app, and a Target employee will deliver it to their car. The Postal Service is rejecting pleas to buy more electric trucks. The agency will spend more than $11 billion on its new fleet, but 90% of the trucks will run on gas, despite requests from the EPA and the White House. Finally, Spotify is out with part of its first bookcast, Run, Rose, Run, by Dolly Parton and James Patterson. It combines storytelling with original music. The first 2 episodes are out now, and they're free. More episodes will be released in the coming weeks. Music and books. What a novel idea. Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
5:17.
And still problems there in I-35 in Cesar Chavez. Let's go ahead and check in with Steven Cavazos.
Problems that started overnight and that have stretched into the early hours of this morning. 35 at Cesar Chavez. You can see those plumes of smoke look like they're going down just a moment, but that flickering right off in the distance shows that that fire is still pretty active. Katrina Weber has been live there throughout the morning, saying that this fire was reported sometime after 11, and it's obviously led to issues out on the roadway. Take a look right now. 35 right there. That exit at Cesar Chavez is blocked off by first responders as they work to clear this mess up, but it has been a long night. You want to make sure that you're driving carefully through that area because keep in mind, this is in the northbound lanes, and when you get to Cesar Chavez, you'll see that smoke, so drive carefully through there, and remember, that exit is still closed. Let's take a drive over here, 410. We have a new crash that popped up here off those eastbound lanes near Evers Road. Looks a little damp out there from what I was looking at from some of these TransGuide cameras, so just take it easy out there this morning. Let's get that bird's eye view of the map and show you how overall we're looking right now at 518. No other problems have been reported just yet, but we are keeping our eye on the roads, specifically, areas where people may have trouble navigating this morning, especially due to the weather. But so far, no problems. Keep in mind that first responders TxDOT crews were out there pre-treating the roadways, areas like I-10 and 1604 yesterday. So hopefully that will help. But drivers, just remember to take it easy this morning.
Very good. Thank you, Stephen. And is it too soon to ask for sun? When will we see sun?
We'll see sun more sunshine, not till about Sunday. It's going to stay pretty cloudy around here. Obviously, a lot of low clouds hanging around out there at the airport, and radar looks very encouraging. Just a little bit of detectable precipitation. Yes, it is freezing out there around Gonzales, Schulenburg, Hallettsville, and then heading further off to the east. But what we saw yesterday and even a little bit this morning is that extremely fine mist out there. Meteorologist Sarah Spivey is is out this morning with the latest, because on some of the elevated surfaces, Sarah, you said you saw some of the icing, right?
Well, yes, elevated surfaces meaning the grass and some metal signs, and also some cars have some ice on them as well. But as far as the roads go, here at 281, I'm at Henderson Pass, so right at that 281-1604 flyover, you can see that things are just fine out there on the flyover right now. Cars are traveling slowly and safely across that flyover. It is not closed because of ice or anything like that, but you know, there has been some fine mist throughout the morning, especially between the hours of 10 p.m. last night and about 1 a.m. this morning. So if you're waking up and you see ice on your car, just know that that's the reason why. That mist had really started to pick up. And even right now, there's some light, very, very light mist that could be freezing on contact on some of those elevated surfaces. You know, here in San Antonio, we don't see ice all that much, especially accumulate on cars. So if you need to get to somewhere, please use caution on bridges and overpasses, although, as I just said, things are okay here at the 281-1604 flyover. And if you don't have an ice scraper, some things that work really well, an old gift card or a plastic spatula. I found this one at the KSAT kitchen just before we left out here. So it is definitely cold, though. Wind chills are in the 20s up here on the north side of town. But as you were saying, Mike, it's going to be cold for a while, not just today here in San Antonio.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Stay warm out there, and we'll be checking in with her a little bit later on. And we do still have the winter weather advisory in effect up until noon. That's just to take into account some of that leftover, you know, that little bit of some ice out there. But again, there was not a lot of moisture with this whole event, and there's not much. Now, we will have another small chance for something tomorrow morning. We are also dealing with some fog. New Braunfels, 3 miles visibility, 2.5 Kerrville, 2.5 down around Pleasanton, off to the east and in portions of the hill country. There's kind of the dividing line right through Bexar County. Freezing temperatures at freezing, below that, and then slightly above freezing down to the south. And we are going to be seeing temperatures get above freezing finally by about mid-morning. Now, that doesn't mean anything that a little bit of ice will immediately thaw, but at least we're going to be getting above freezing and staying up there throughout the rest of the day. Not a heat wave. We'll be right around 40. Tomorrow morning, back down close to freezing and just below that, and then we will warm up slightly more than that as we go into the afternoon hours tomorrow. Computer model takes all this and gets it on out of here throughout the rest of the day, so it will be coming to an end. And then tomorrow morning, we may actually see just a bit more of this moisture trying to come in here from the southeast, and so there is still going to be a small chance for more of this drizzle of some light sprinkles that would potentially freeze, especially in portions of the hill country. That would be tomorrow morning, but again, very few and far between as far as that goes. 37 today at noon, cloudy. The rain and or freezing drizzle is going to be coming to an end by noon, if not sooner than that. And then we're going to make it up to 40 later on this afternoon. Just cloudy skies. It's going to be cold out there, a bit of a breeze, so wind chills will definitely be a factor. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be close to freezing in the hill country, so there may be some of that light freeze in parts of the hill country, make it up to 43. And then Saturday, it's just going to be a wet, cold day. That's our better chance for some rain. I don't think it's going to be any sort of a drought breaker, but better rain Saturday, and then more sunshine by Sunday.
So kind of different from Saturday to Sunday. Not too bad, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see some sunshine then.
Thanks, Mike.
523, about 32 degrees.
And IMAX reports its first profit since 2019, and we are getting a first look at the second season of Upload. Thanks. Next in your morning spotlight.
525, Spider-Man helps out IMAX, and Jewel has a new studio album.
Here's CNN's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
We tampered with the stability of space-time.
IMAX is back in the black thanks to Spidey. The giant screen company posted its first quarterly profits since the pandemic began, thanks largely to Spider-Man No Way Home, which was filmed with IMAX cameras in the company's expanded aspect ratio.
If we take it back to how we used to be, when I ran to you, when you ran to me.
Jewel is back. The singer-songwriter has announced her first new studio album in 7 years, Freewheelin' Woman, due out April 15th. It features this new single, Dancing Slow, featuring Train, who she'll join on their North American summer tour.
Uploading should be accessible for everyone. We need to hold the greedy, powerful people accountable.
He likes Bloody Marys and the rollback of environmental laws.
Well, we can handle one of those.
Prime Video has released a preview of Upload Season 2. The sci-fi comedy featuring a virtual afterlife introduces new relationships, a deepening mystery, and even a digital baby program.
Prototypes!
Congrats, Mommy.
The 7-episode second season of Upload premieres March 11th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
527, about 32 degrees.
Russian troops launched their anticipated attack on Ukraine. We're going to have the latest on this crisis and the calls for peace from the UN Security Council.
Plus, what potential new parents need to know before proceeding with infertility treatments.
And get ready for Nitro Pepsi. We're going to tell you when this new nitrogen-infused cola is set to make its debut.
Winter weather advisories remain in effect throughout the rest of the morning. Temperatures are still below freezing. Is there any more precipitation out there? We'll take a look at radar.
It's been a long night of firefighting for San Antonio fire crews as they try to put out these flames that have been burning since late last night. I'm Katrina Weber. I'll tell you more about it.
And taking a look outside with live cam, for the most part, those roads are pretty dry, but we are cold at 32 degrees this morning.
Right now, it is Thursday. It is February 24th, and we do want to let you know there are a few school delays to pass along. All these districts operating on a 2-hour delay. This includes Comal ISD, Luling ISD, Harper ISD, and San Marcos CISD 2-hour delay. We just found out Seguin ISD will also have a 2-hour delay. That just into our newsroom. That means buses and everything will be running on a 2-hour delay in the affected districts. Check KSAT.com for updates throughout the morning.
And for now, let's go ahead and check in with Mike.
All right, it is very cold out there, and temperatures really haven't moved all that much from yesterday afternoon when we dropped to right around freezing or just below that. We actually did come up a couple of notches in the past few hours, right at 32 degrees. Dew point's 28, and we still have a breeze out there, so there is still somewhat of a wind chill. This is what radar looks like right now, and the only thing being detected, being picked up on radar, is over there well off to the east around Gonzales. But there has been, and if you think back to yesterday, a lot of very, very fine mist. However, it doesn't appear to be really affecting the roads at all. Meteorologist Sarah Spivey is out there this morning to give us a firsthand look at what's going on. What's up, Sarah?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, I'm right at that 281-1604 flyover. Those areas are often the areas we're most concerned about whenever there's ice because they freeze first. And although we've been having some freezing mist in this area, the roads are remaining okay. And you know, we really have, first of all, TxDOT to thank for treating the roads. And then also the fact that we were near 90 degrees on Tuesday. So the ground itself is warm. A couple things you may notice out there, though, as I've noticed, ice on your car if it was left outside. And even the grass is a bit crunchy because it's got some of that glazing of ice on there. We see a metal sign here for Henderson Pass, and it also has some very small icicles. You may not even be able to make it out on the camera. They're very small, but I think that is a great illustration of how light this glaze is. And again, no major problems on the roads. Of course, if you do have to travel, it's always a good idea to exercise caution on those bridges and overpasses. But so far, things look good, and that's the way we're hoping things stay. I'll keep an eye on things up here on the north side of San Antonio. Sarah Spivey.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Stay warm out there. And so, yeah, that's the news, is really not much going on. We still have some of this precipitation well out there to the east. Notice how it's kind of going back and forth between freezing and just liquid form. But, yeah, there wasn't a lot of moisture with this cold snap that moved on in here. Nothing like a few weeks ago, obviously. We are, though, dealing with some fog. New Braunfels, Kerrville, Pleasanton, somewhat of a reduced visibility. So we'll have to keep an eye on that throughout the rest of the morning as well. Wind chill temperatures. You saw that Sarah was bundled up, so definitely bundle up, and it's going to be staying very cold throughout the rest of the day. 37 degrees, and we are going to get above freezing, though, right around mid-morning which is good news. And that doesn't mean any little bit of that icing will immediately melt, but at least nothing is going to be refreezing. And then 40 at 5 o'clock. Now, we may see another bit of moisture trying to work its way in here from the east tomorrow morning with colder temperatures. So we're going to talk about that if we see any more freezing, and then take a look at slightly better rain chances by the weekend. Details coming up. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. All right, any big problems out there on the roads?
There are other big problems that are happening right here in town, Mike. The big one right here is going to be off 35 at Cesar Chavez. This is definitely going to impact the majority of commuters that are traveling into San Antonio. We told you about this fire that happened overnight, which has led to some flumes of smoke out in this area. You can see that right now drivers are able to make through this spot without any big problems, but keep in mind that exit has been closed for several hours as first responders have been working to clear a fire that started overnight. Katrina Weber will have more on that in just a moment, but let's talk about how these roads are looking here in town, because that exit is closed off of I-35 northbound at Cesar Chavez. Not seeing so much of a buildup, but at this hour we're starting to see more people out on the roads, so you got to drive carefully through there. We still have that crash reported here off 410 eastbound at Evers Road. That's not causing problems, but first responders are still out there on the scene working to clear these particular incidences up. But overall, the look at the map shows we're in better shape. Not really too concerned about any icing or anything like that. Sarah Spivey was just showing us how the flyover ramps are still open, so some good news. Just make sure that you're driving carefully. No delays if you're traveling into San Antonio from any of these communities, but the big problem right now will be here at 35 at Cesar Chavez. Looks like it may be dying down a little bit from this shot, but Katrina Weber is live there with more information. Katrina?
Well, good morning. Yeah, firefighters seem to be making a little bit of headway. They turned on their aerial hoses just a few minutes ago. We had a pretty good shot of that until this truck pulled up just a couple of seconds ago, but they are hitting that fire from above. This has been going on since about 11 o'clock last night. There's a huge abandoned building that firefighters have been working on since that time. They've had fire flames coming out of there, again, since about 11 last night. Now, fire crews have been attacking this from outside because they were worried about parts of this building collapsing. And we actually witnessed that about an hour ago. Right where you see those flames, there was a sort of a chimney or a tower. It was on fire, and then it came crashing down as we sat here watching it. No one injured. No one was inside the building. The firefighters don't know what caused this, but they suspect that there may have been homeless people inside because there are no working utilities here. Now, as I looked up this address online, this is the 500 block of Urban Loop off of I-35 and Cesar Chavez. I looked up the address here. This shows that this building is more than 17,000 square feet, so a lot of area that firefighters have had to work with. There is some question about whether this was a historic site. According to the fire chief, that is what he said, but I've talked to some city workers. They're not quite sure. But it seems to be that there's an interesting history associated with this building, that at one time it may have been a brothel and then designated as a historic site. But as of now, there was nothing inside, according to the fire chief, so no injuries reported here. Reporting live downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Well, this morning, President Biden condemning what he called an unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russian military forces on Ukraine.
And now leaders from around the world are calling on Russia to stand down. CNN's Mandy Gaither has the latest on this crisis.
A state of emergency in Ukraine. Calls for peace have gone unanswered.
President Putin, stop your troops from attacking the Ukraine. Give peace a chance. Too many people have already died.
Blasts heard in multiple Ukrainian cities after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a military operation he says to protect Donbas, a separatist-held region of Ukraine.
Our plans are not to occupy Ukraine. We do not plan to impose ourselves on anyone.
In an emergency meeting Wednesday night, members of the UN Security Council condemned Russia's actions.
We're here for one reason and one reason only: to ask Russia to stop. Return to your borders. Send your troops and your tanks and your planes back to their barracks and hangars.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has introduced martial law and urged people to remain calm.
Stay at home if you can. We are working. The army is working. The whole sector of defense and security is working. No panic.
In a statement, President Joe Biden saying Russia alone is responsible for the death and destruction this attack will bring, and the United States and its allies and partners will respond in a united and decisive way. The world will hold Russia accountable. I'm Mandy Gaither reporting.
5:39, about 32 degrees.
And still ahead, we're going to tell you when nitrogen-infused Pepsi is scheduled to make its national debut.
And next, a new study finds infertility treatments may increase the risk of having or developing certain conditions. What you need to know coming up.
And taking a look outside with live cam, we're starting cold at 32 degrees, and it's kind of going to stay that way all day to the 40s, but it will still be cold. We'll be right back.
More on weather and traffic coming up, but first, millions of people use infertility treatments to try to have a baby.
And this week, new research is linking those treatments to an increased risk for heart and pregnancy-related complications. CNN's Mary Maloney has a closer look.
Shining new light on infertility treatments. New research finds women who used assisted reproductive technology have increased risk for vascular and pregnancy-related complications compared to those who don't.
And these can include placental abruption or increased risk of C-section, small babies, preterm deliveries, things like that.
The study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found women who used infertility treatments had more pre-existing health conditions, including high blood pressure and diabetes when they started the treatment. The women were also 38% more likely to need a cesarean delivery and 26% more likely to have the baby born prematurely. Infertility specialist Dr. Sigal Klipstein says that's not surprising.
The findings are confirming things that we already know, that women who have cardiovascular risk factors when they're entering a pregnancy do have increased risks.
This study also found increased risk for women who underwent fertility treatments, even when they had no pre-existing symptoms of heart disease. Dr. Klipstein says underlying infertility, not the fertility treatment, is often what's linked to worse outcomes. A key limitation of the study was that it did not compare different fertility treatments. Dr. Klipstein says that's an important distinction.
A woman who maybe needed a short course of fertility pills and became pregnant very quickly is different from a woman who required multiple rounds of IVF.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Mary Maloney.
Time check, 5:43, still around 32 degrees.
And coming up next, the San Antonio Humane Society is standing by with a pet that needs to go home with you.
Well, he's just going to town there. And you said still puppy breath?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay.
The best ever.
You go now and get the puppy breath from this little guy. So who is this little boy?
Yes. So this is Owl. He again is a little terrier mix and just loves to give kisses. I mean, oh my goodness. Thank you, sweet baby. You are just great. Look at that.
One of 8 that came in, right?
Yes, one of 8 from the litter. Has lots of brothers and sisters, and the mama got adopted a week ago. So yeah, he's just ready to go. He's excited. Look at him this morning.
And he and all his siblings were perfect examples of the fostering program there.
Yes.
Because they were underweight, but went with the foster family.
Yeah.
Got him fed, got him taken care
and
of.
ready to go. And look, he's definitely going to need some chew toys because he is having some fun this morning with my finger.
Yeah, he's just going to rule the roost.
He's just going to rule it, yes.
Well, if you'd like this little guy and check out his siblings and all the other cats and dogs out there at the San Antonio Humane Society, just head on over to 4804 Fredericksburg Road.
Oh, thank you.
Kisses are free, by the way. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
In your morning consumer headlines, gas prices are at their highest level in more than 7 years. And now with Russia formally invading Ukraine, things are about to get worse. According to AAA, the national average for gasoline was $3.53 a gallon. That's up 20 cents in the past month. Russia is one of the world's largest oil producers. Some experts fear Russia could cut off natural gas exports in retaliation for sanctions by the U.S. and European Union. President Biden is pledging to use every tool available to limit gas price hikes.
A soda giant is branching out with a new beverage. Nitro Pepsi is PepsiCo's first nitrogen-infused cola, which officials say has a smoother and creamier taste. It's set to make its national debut on March 28th and comes in regular and vanilla flavors. Nitrogen is commonly used in some beers and coffee beverages, creating a foamy texture. Officials recommend customers drink Nitro Pepsi without ice and straws to help keep the drink as foamy as possible.
Okay. All right. Might have to try that one too.
Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. Time now, 5:48. Let's go ahead and check back with Stephen Cavazos.
Well, things haven't been looking good out over here off 35. We have a different shot right there at Alamo. Talking to our friends over at TransGuide, they say a lot of this looked a little hazy out there. Some of the smoke that we're seeing from that fire that was picked up earlier overnight, actually. You can see we still have some flares off in the distance. Keep in mind that exit is still closed if you're traveling up toward 35 or San Antonio a little bit later. Have to exit right now 35. You may have some problems right there because that is where that fire was reported earlier, overnight, and that exit has been closed for several hours now. Keep in mind, those northbound lanes right at Cesar Chavez Boulevard are what's going to be impacted. Still have this crash there off 410 eastbound at Evers Road. You have to watch out there. First responders have had somewhat of a busy morning, some a pretty long night, but we're going to be watching these roads closely. Other than that, things are okay. Just remember to be safe out on the roadways, guys.
Thank you, Stephen. Mike is here with somebody all bundled up.
Bundle up today.
Cute.
Who brought their scarf? Anybody?
Shoot.
Didn't? Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, bundle up them because it's cold out there. Even though we don't have a lot of precipitation, really, if at all. Sarah Spivey was reporting in just a couple of minutes ago, and there's really nothing out there in the roads thanks to the ground being so warm from a couple of days ago when we were up in the mid and upper 80s. So we're not seeing any problems. And then that one TransGuide picture that Stephen just showed with 35, and that was the elevated portion of 35, and everything's moving along very smoothly out there. And as far as any detectable precipitation, be it freezing, be it in liquid form, which you can see over there further off to the east, it's kind of going back and forth between freezing and not freezing. That's all moved off to the east. There's still some very fine mist out there, but it doesn't appear to be causing any problems. The winter weather advisory remains in effect till noon. Justin Horn just got in here, and by the way, he was also reporting that roads are dry coming in from the north side of Bexar County. We were kind of speculating that maybe this is going to be a lot of counties deleted from this or canceled prior to its expiration at noon. We've got some fog to deal with, especially heading off to the east, and Victoria 3 miles visibility, 2.5 Pleasanton, some scattered about up 35, and then out in portions of the hill country. It's getting thicker out there in Rock Springs. Temperatures still good chunk of folks are at or below freezing right now, and so anything, some of the grass signs, if there's any of that mist, there may be a little bit of a coating of ice. Mark was talking about, left his car outside, there was a slight bit of coating of that freezing mist on there. This is all going to continue to work its way on out of here, and we'll keep a lot of clouds around throughout the rest of today. Maybe some sunshine in the hill country. I don't think we see any here in town. Then some more moisture is going to try and come back in early tomorrow morning, so we could see, especially in northern portions of the hill country, slight bit of that trying to freeze up in the morning hours. Now, as far as wind chills, it's going to be definitely something we deal with throughout the rest of today, and then tomorrow again, wind chills are going to be brutally cold and really throughout the day. We're not going to get much above 40, not only today, tomorrow, as well as Saturday, about mid-40s on Saturday, but we're looking at just kind of a wet, cold day on Saturday. Satellite picture right now, we did have some of that mixed precipitation late last night and earlier this morning, and then that next wave came in here and continued to work its way off, and there's really nothing upstream for us. Off to the northeast, boy, this is going to be a big story. All the way from the mid-south up into the northeast are looking at feet of snow and a big icy situation. So if you have any travel plans, definitely check ahead with that. Today, 37 degrees at noon. Most all of the precipitation is out of the area right now. There may be a little bit of leftover mist here, but that's going to continue to come to an end. We will finally make it above freezing by mid-morning, and 40 for a high temperature today. So it's still going to be very cold, enough of a breeze to add a wind chill to that. And then tomorrow morning will be flirting right around freezing. Some of that moisture tries to come back in here from the east a little bit, and so we'll have to watch out for maybe some little bit of freezing rain in portions of the hill country. 43, 45 Saturday, and wet, cold day Saturday. Finally some sunshine and close to 60 by Sunday.
So overall, just bundle up, be careful on the roads, just in case.
There could be a little patch here or there, but yeah, again, we didn't have a lot of moisture with this, thank goodness.
we will get use out of our winter wear, definitely.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike.
5:53, about 32 degrees.
Let's look at your winning lotto numbers. We have pick 3, 552, Fireball 6, and your daily 4, 9467, Fireball 7.
Cash 5 numbers 4, 5, 9, 13, 14. Lotto Texas 2, 6, 14, 27, 30, and 43. And Powerball 6, 17, 21, 35, 46. Powerball 18, Power Play 2. Thanks for waking up with GMSA. We'll be right back.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, we're following the breaking news out of Ukraine. Russia launching an attack overnight, invading its neighbor. Our team is on the ground across the region, covering all the developments. You'll see that and so much more right here on GMA.
Right now at KSAT.com, San Antonio preparing for another tradition. The Riverwalk will be dyed green next month for St. Patrick's Day. It's an event crowds have gathered for every year since 1968. We have the time and dates for this year's event on our website. Again, KSAT.com. We are still on the scene of that massive fire burning here in San Antonio overnight. Right after the break, we'll have the latest details in another live report with our Katrina Weber. TransGuide right now, so far, so good on the roads, but we see something going on there at 35 at Alamo. We know smoke was affecting travel 35 Cesar Chavez area due to the fire that Katrina's on. We'll see if that is the issue there. It could be. We'll talk to Stephen coming up.
A massive blaze has been burning since late last night. How firefighters say it all started.
The eyes of the world on Ukraine right now as Russian forces have officially attacked. More on this developing story in a moment.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Good morning. It is Thursday, February 24th. Very busy news, weather, and traffic morning.
Yeah, very cold out there. Let's go ahead and start with those school delays happening around town. Several districts in our area have delayed the start due to concerns with the weather. So we have Harper ISD, Comal ISD, Luling ISD, San Marcos CISD, and Seguin ISD on that list.
We'll be staying on top of these delays all morning long, both on our newscasts and on our website at KSAT.com. All right, straight up 6 o'clock. Mike's here with an update.
It is very cold still, but as we were talking about going into this, the moisture is going to be extremely limited, and that's what really spared us from a big mess out there. Even though we have had some little bit of freezing drizzle, some freezing mist in the overnight hours and late yesterday. Out there at the airport, you can see traffic on 410. Everything's moving along very well. We've got definitely cloudy skies and cold temperatures. And this is what is showing up, or should I say not showing up on radar. Just a couple of leftover little spots right there in Comal County, Gonzales, and then further off to the east. That's what's being picked up on. And notice how it is kind of going back and forth between either freezing and or just liquid precipitation. Now, there has been some mist out there, and the big problem, or the big question is that causing any sort of a problem? Meteorologist Sarah Spivey is out there this morning with a first-hand account at what she's seeing on the roads and on any elevated surfaces.
Hi there, Mike. Yeah, so we're not seeing any issues here. I'm currently at 281 and 1604, that flyover on the north side, and traffic is actually flowing smoothly over that flyover, but there is some light precipitation that is continuing to fall. And so as temperatures hover near freezing and slightly below freezing, I still would exercise extreme caution on bridges and overpasses like what you're seeing. But as I said, there's really no major issues out there right now. I've got my handy dandy handheld weather station, and you can see that the temperature at this level is just slightly above freezing, but it's waffling back and forth, if I'm being honest with you, from about 32 degrees to about 33 degrees. And so we're right at that threshold where with whatever falls will likely freeze on elevated surfaces that are already below freezing. So this morning, as you're stepping outside, if your car was left overnight outside, You'll see a glazing of ice on your car. If you don't have an ice scraper, an old gift card or a plastic spatula works just fine. And you might, if you have to walk across your front yard, see some crunchy grass from some of that freezing drizzle. Of course, areas to the east of San Antonio are currently getting the freezing mist and some of that freezing fog. And for more on the forecast, let's go ahead and toss it back to you, Mike. But on the north side, things look fine.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And also want to add to the list of schools that are delayed. Marion ISD is delayed this morning. We're also dealing with some fog right now. 4 miles visibility in New Braunfels, 5 Randolph. Nothing too thick, but just be on the lookout for that. It is starting to actually thicken up more there in Rock Springs this morning. And temperatures, as Sarah was saying, there on the north side of San Antonio, it's just flirting right with freezing. But then what we're dealing with, and that dividing line is going right through about Bexar County, the southern half of Bexar County. But we've got wind chill temperatures too. Not much of a breeze, but it doesn't take much with these cold readings out there. Now, as far as temperatures, we are going to stay right about 32 degrees here in town, pretty steady this morning. Then we'll start to get above freezing in the next couple of hours. And again, most all that precipitation has moved on out except that very fine mist that Sarah was talking about. 37 degrees today at noon, and then a high temperature today, which is not going to be high, up to 40. Now, the winter weather advisory is still in effect up until noon, just kind of taking into account these cold temperatures, what may have, a little bit of ice and a little bit of mist out there. We do have a small chance for some more moisture to come back in here tomorrow morning. We'll talk about that and take a look ahead to the weekend in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos, what is the latest on the road, sir?
Well, caution is definitely the word of the day, Mike. As any other day, you want to make sure that you are driving carefully, but especially days like today. Thankfully, no big closures, though. 410 at North Ingram, you could see that traffic moving through that shot with no problems. In fact, there's not really a lot of people out there, but as you just saw that flyover ramp shot behind Sarah Spivey, there are people out on the roads, as you can see there off US 90 at Montgomery. Thankfully, no major closures to report just yet, but we're going to keep a close eye on things like we've been doing right here off of 35 northbound at Cesar Chavez Boulevard. We told you about this exit that has been closed for quite a while as first responders are working to clear the scene of a fire that happened overnight. It has been causing problems for people that are navigating through those northbound lanes. We've been seeing that smoke in the TransGuide camera. We'll get to it in just a moment, but let's go ahead and jump over here. 410 eastbound, a stall reported there at Ray Ellison Boulevard, so you got to watch out there. Let's give you that bird's eye view of the map and show you how we're looking at 6:05. No major delays again to report, but as we're saying, caution is the word of the day. Make sure you are driving very carefully out there, especially when we do have first responders out at different scenes. Right now, we do have these inbound times for you. No delays just yet if you're traveling in from any of these communities, but I really want to bring your attention to this shot right over here. If we can bring it right back to that shot at TransGuide, if I may have lost it there, but some droplets there at 1604 at Hausman, and you can see there 35 at Alamo, some flashing lights. That's what we really wanted to show you. That's where that exit is closed. Again, Cesar Chavez, because of that fire. Katrina Weber is live there this morning. Katrina, what's the very latest?
Well, good morning, Stephen. Things are not quite as intense as they were before, but we still have a lot of activity going on, including the jackhammer that you hear in the background. That appears to be a crew with CPS Energy. Behind them, you can see flames still burning. This fire has been going on since about 11 o'clock last night. Still refuses to die despite the efforts of firefighters. Let me give you a look at the video so you can see how things were earlier when the flames were just shooting out of this building. Now, according to the fire department, this is an abandoned building. What I have found online, this is the 500 block of Urban Loop off of Cesar Chavez and I-35. Based on what I see online, this building is some 17,000 plus square feet. So a huge empty building that firefighters have been working at since about 11 last night. They say that no one was in the building, and so they are looking at this as possibly being related to homeless people. There were no utilities working here. And again, it's an abandoned building, but it has been creating quite a job for firefighters as they continue to battle these flames since late last night, flames that just don't seem to want to die. Reporting live downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Katrina, thank you very much. War has returned to Europe, where casualties already reported as Russian troops launched their attack on Ukraine overnight. This is a live look at Kyiv. Reports say about 40 people have been killed so far. Russian President Vladimir Putin warning the international community not to interview because he said it could, quote, lead to consequences you have never seen before, in his words. Just before dawn, big explosions could be heard in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. As expected, world leaders are condemning the invasion that could cause massive casualty and topple Ukraine's democratically elected government. President Biden is pledging new sanctions meant to punish Russia for this act of aggression. He's expected to make a statement to the nation on the attack later today.
This morning, we are getting our first look at the fifth and final suspect police say was involved in a shootout on the city's north side on Monday. This is 17-year-old Jerry Ortiz. Police say Ortiz ran away from the scene off of Mariposa and Blanco Road on Monday. However, he later decided to turn himself in. Police say Ortiz and 4 other suspects that are still alive are facing capital murder charges. All of them are either in their teens or 20s. At this time, they still don't have a motive in what started all this fighting. Those who live or work in the area consider themselves lucky and glad that more innocent people were not hurt. Now, the shooting did kill 2 people, including one of the suspects and an innocent bystander who was watching TV at home at the time of the shooting.
But then all of a sudden we started hearing these gunshots, and like a couple of shots came through to our store, and like for example over here, down here, and then the other one is up here, down here, behind the t-shirts, one up there.
Angelo Montiero is a clerk at the gas station where everything took place. He says one of the bullets pierced the counter he was taking cover behind, but luckily it missed him.
Castroville City Council has placed Chief Brian Jackson, their police chief, on administrative leave following accusations he used a racial slur during a murder investigation. That decision made after an hours-long meeting last night. City officials began investigating the accusation brought to light by the Medina County Sheriff, who says he heard Jackson use the inappropriate language caught on body camera footage. In a statement, Castroville's Mayor Darren Schroeder says the city does not tolerate discrimination. He also said in part, quote, "We believe in all human rights, so we will not discipline simply on rumors or hearsay, but we will act decisively if we determine guilt of discrimination," end quote.
And time now, 6:10 and about 32 degrees out there.
Very latest on the situation in Ukraine right now as we take a look at the capital. One of several webcams that are still up and running despite an attack that is still in progress in multiple points around the country.
A potential sale of local hotel could give San Antonio a huge financial benefit. What that is coming up after the break.
And you already know to bundle up, probably bundle up for days to come. Michael's get us updated on our chances of any precipitation as temperatures continue to hover right around freezing in and around the San Antonio metropolitan area. You're watching GMSA.
Welcome back. It's 6:14 and things are shaping up to be really busy on the roadways.
So far, so good on the roads. Let's get an update from Steven Cavazos. Where are we at right now as of just about 6:15?
Well, as you see right now, we have this shot at 35 at Alamo. We were showing this to viewers for a little while, really. This is that fire that Katrina Weber has been at throughout the morning. It's led to an exit there to be closed right at Cesar Chavez. So you can see that traffic now is picking up there from this shot at TransGuide. Not really any slowdowns just yet. The morning is still somewhat young, but keep in mind that exit is closed there off 35 northbound at Cesar Chavez Boulevard. I was just checking some of those TransGuide cameras. It does look like more people are out on the roadway, so we can expect to see a lot more activity here in the next few moments and possibly some congestion. Let's take a drive over here. Now we're hearing reports of a crash here of 1604 right at Green Mountain Road over on the city's northeast side. Now it does appear this could be in the westbound lanes of 1604. For anyone traveling through that area, just make sure to drive carefully. Overall, that is the message that we've been sending you all morning long. Thankfully, no major closures have been reported so far. Those flyover ramps, basically 281, 1604. Sarah Spivey's been out there throughout the morning showing us the conditions out there. Looks like things have been moving pretty smoothly so far, but we're going to be watching the roads closely. Again, specifically this spot right now is going to be the big problem here in town. 35 at Alamo. Remember to drive safe. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
It's going to be cold again. I guess the kids are going to be bundled up all day.
All day long, all day tomorrow, and pretty much all day Saturday, too. One thing to add to road report, Weather Service was indicating that up around, they've been getting a lot of reports up around Austin of some overpasses up there. So if you are heading up I-35, you may run into some messier conditions up there with some freezing rain on some of the overpasses up there. Temperatures are going to be staying pretty steady where they are right now. We got some upper 20s, got some low 30s. That little bit of light freezing drizzle is pretty much moved off to the east, but still I'm going to keep a mention of it just to take into account any leftovers there. And then 40 degrees later on this afternoon and enough of a breeze to really add to those wind chill temperatures. This is what it looks like out there at the airport right now. Everything is moving along pretty well, and radar, most everything well off to the east. However, there are a couple of spots, looks like maybe just one or two little spots here and there, right around Seguin, further up well north of Canyon Lake. Up there, it looks like in portions of Blanco County. So again, one or two small spots, some of that leftover drizzle. There's also some mist out there this morning. It's not really causing any problem on the ground because, of course, we had 85, close to 90 Monday, Tuesday. So the ground is very warm. It's just any elevated surfaces, signs, your grass, as Sarah Spivey was pointing out. The winter weather advisory remains in effect up until noon today. Again, to take into account any leftovers. The freezing line, the dividing line, is just about right through the middle of Bexar County. Randolph 30, 32 at the airport, Bulverde at 30. So yeah, anything that is frozen up there, maybe on your car, you had some of the ice if you left it outside. Computer models keep a slight bit of some of this moisture up there to the north, again, going up in toward San Marcos, up in toward Austin. Then that is going to be coming to an end. And on the hill country, you folks may see some sunshine mixed on in. Now, tomorrow morning, some of this moisture tries to come back in here from the southeast. Again, very limited moisture, but with those cold enough temperatures up there to the north, that could turn into some freezing rain. Very, very minimal, kind of like what we've had so far, but just something to keep in mind for tomorrow. Then as we go into Saturday, that's when we're going to be seeing the better chance for some rain with above freezing temperatures. We are going to make it above freezing by later on today, and then tomorrow it is back down with the wind chill temperatures are going to be well down there again tomorrow morning, and it's going to stay pretty chilly like we were talking about for the next couple of days, and finally getting up to roughly about 60 if we can muster 60 degrees here in town once we get in towards Sunday. So the forecast today, we will still have just that chance for one or two little spots of some precipitation. It could freeze, but temperatures will continue to very slowly warm up, get up to 37 degrees at noon, and then we top off at 40 today. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a cold one out there. Tomorrow morning, we'll have to watch out for some more of that moisture trying to come back in here from the southeast, and some of that possibly freezing up in northern portions of the hill country. 43 and then 45 on Saturday. So no heat wave the next couple of days, that's for sure. Better chance for some rain on Saturday. It's going to be one of those days just to hunker down inside, and then 58 degrees with some sunshine on Sunday, 60s to start off next week.
60s look good.
Yeah.
But we'll wait for that.
Yeah, cloudy skies, cold temperatures, that gets you.
All right, thank you, Mike. We'll talk to you again in a little bit.
And a company out of Arizona has its eye on the Grand Hyatt Hotel downtown, and city leaders say it could be a very good financial move for San Antonio. The Hyatt company is planning to sell the building to a liability company from Arizona, like we said, that operates a nonprofit organization. So years ago, the city put up bonds for the hotel, which sits right next to the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center downtown. San Antonio could get millions of taxpayer dollars if the deal goes through.
We're removing the city's requirement to back any sort of debt that was issued for the bond. We're getting all of our money paid back that's owed from the ground lease since 2008 and the $10 million we put in when the hotel was closed.
In addition, the city would still own the land that the hotel sits on. City Council is scheduled to vote on the proposal next week. The city says despite the change, the Hyatt would still operate as a hotel.
Time check 6:20, still about 32 degrees.
An unlikely pair team up. We're going to have more on the new book from James Patterson that he worked on with Dolly Parton.
There's a different way to treat HIV. It's every other month injectable Cabenuva. For adults who are undetectable, Cabenuva is the only complete HIV treatment you can get every other month.
Cabenuva helps keep me undetectable. It's 2 injections given by my healthcare provider every other month.
It's one less thing to think about while traveling.
HIV pills aren't on my mind. A quick change in my plans is no big deal.
Don't receive Cabenuva if you're allergic to its ingredients or taking certain medicines which may interact with Cabenuva. Serious side effects include allergic reactions, post-injection reactions, liver problems, and depression. If you have a rash and other allergic reaction symptoms, stop Cabenuva and get medical help right away. Tell your doctor if you have liver problems or mental health concerns, and if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or considering pregnancy. Some of the most common side effects include injection site reactions, fever, and tiredness. If you switch to Cabenuva, attend all treatment appointments.
Every other month, and I'm good to go.
Ask your doctor about every other month Cabenuva.
In this morning's GMA First Look, we're hearing from a mother who successfully challenged her teen to stay off social media for 6 years.
We were just in the kitchen, and my mom just went up to me. She's like, "Hey, Stever, would you ever want to do this? I'll give you $1,800 on your 18th birthday. You can stay off social media."
Lorna Klefstad says she took a gamble and made a deal with her then 12-year-old son, Cyber. She calls the 18 for 18 challenge. Stay off social media until you turn 18 and earn $1,800.
I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that sounds great, $1,800.
It was kind of just a spur of the moment thing. I knew how competitive he was. I knew he'd want to win.
The mom of 4 says she had seen Cyber's older sister struggle with the pressures of social media and was hoping to avoid that with her youngest son. And coming up at 8 a.m., we'll have the expert tips on how to limit your teen's social media exposure. With your GMA First Look, I'm Zoreen Shah, ABC News.
Attention Target shoppers, the store looking to expand its curbside services. Customers in test markets will be allowed to make a return without having to enter the store. And you can also order Starbucks through the app, and a Target employee will deliver it to your car. Again, this is only in certain test markets.
The Postal Service is rejecting pleas to buy more electric trucks. The agency will spend more than $11 billion on its new fleet, but 90% of the trucks will run on gas, despite requests from the EPA and the White House.
Spotify out with the part of its first bookcast, Run, Rose, Run, by Dolly Parton and James Patterson. Quite a team. Combines storytelling with original music. The first 2 episodes are out now, and they are free. More episodes will be released in the coming weeks.
And time now, 6:25, and a cold 32 degrees for now.
An announcement from SAHA, the San Antonio Housing Authority, could help some middle-income families buy their own home at an affordable price. That story is coming up.
And we're checking back with Katrina Weber on the scene of a huge fire that's been burning since last night. We are live downtown next.
As smoke from that fire has affected traffic on parts of I-35 this morning. We're also dealing with some fog and mist in certain spots. We'll check in with Stephen and Mike Osterhage coming up.
Huge flames and smoke have kept firefighters up all night. They've been working on this downtown building, a fire that doesn't seem to want to quit. Good morning. I'm Katrina Weber. I'll have that story coming up.
Very cold but limited moisture as we look outside at 410 right now. Traffic running smoothly on the highways and byways. Are there any trouble spots? We'll talk to Stephen in a moment.
Hi, good morning. It is Thursday, February 24th. Thanks for joining us. Very cold out there, and be prepared because it's going to stay that way.
We do have some school districts in our vast viewing area that have a delayed start this morning due to concerns over the weather. Harper ISD, Comal ISD, Luling ISD, San Marcos C ISD, Seguin and Marion ISD are all getting classes 2 hours late this morning, which means buses will be running 2 hours late too. We're staying on top of any other delays, and we'll update you on our website at KSAT.com, and of course coming up in all our later newscasts.
But closer to downtown, roads not looking too bad.
No, the surface streets are fine, and a lot of the elevated roads here in town are pretty good too. But you know, even though there was such limited moisture, there has still been a little bit of icing out there in places. So kind of an ounce of prevention as far as with those school delays, and everything's moving along pretty good out there. 410 by the airport. We do have some fog. We're going to talk about that in a second. And as far as any detectable precipitation, be it frozen or otherwise. Most all of that has moved on out. However, notice how this one little spot has started to pop up, a couple little spots right around Seguin, sliding up to the north. So there is still some leftover out there. Plus, what we've been dealing with a lot is just that very, very fine mist. There was some of it around yesterday. I didn't see anything coming into work this morning, but on the railings of the deck in the backyard, there was just the slightest bit of frozen of icing out there and some of the signs and things like that. Sarah Spivey is out there on the north side of town. And first of all, is there any of that mist falling, Sarah? And is there any ice out there?
You know, Mike, I'm glad you brought up the mist because the mist is actually picking up here on the north side. And a great way to see the mist, not radar, but looking at visibility. And visibility in parts of Bexar County, as you've been saying, Mike, is down to 2 miles, 3 miles in some places. And so we're starting to see this light mist pick up a bit, and it is at or below freezing here on the north side. I'm at 281 and 1604. Often a trouble spot is that flyover because it's elevated, but things are moving smoothly right now. And even though we are not seeing any problems on these overpasses and these flyovers, I would still exercise extreme caution on those bridges and overpasses, because if we do end up having any problems on the roads, those are the ones which usually freeze up first. And I would also use a lot of caution on the east side of Bexar County. So we're talking about the eastern edge of 1604 and from I-10 to Seguin, as well as between on 35 between New Braunfels and downtown San Antonio. But as I mentioned, things here are very light. The only kind of accumulations I'm seeing out here is a little bit of crunch on the grass from some ice accumulations. There's the sign for Henderson Pass right here on the north side. And if you squint, you can see that there are a few very small icicles on that elevated surface there. So if you see any ice today, it's mainly going to be on elevated surfaces like your vehicle if you left it outside overnight. So don't be surprised if you see some of that ice. And again, if you have to travel this morning, as a general rule, things are okay, but just use caution on those bridges and overpasses. Reporting from the north side of Bexar County, meteorologist Sarah Spivey. Back to you, Michael.
Great advice. Thank you very much, Sarah. And yeah, ounce of prevention. Don't get a false sense of security just because there's not a lot of moisture out there. There could be those small icy patches. Winter weather advisory remains in effect up until noon, just to take into account that leftover mist out there that is still freezing or could cause a problem. And as Sarah was talking about, we do have some fog in spots and some reduced visibility. 3 miles at Pleasanton. It's continuing to drop down at Rock Springs and 2.5 miles over there in LaGrange as well as Victoria. Temperatures, again, we're flirting right at freezing, just above, just below. And this will be the case for the next couple of hours. Then by mid-morning, we're going to start to get above freezing. Of course, we've got those wind chills to deal with and gray skies, enough of a wind out there to really get some of those biting temperatures going on. So still some of that mist and or freezing drizzle. Most of it has come to an end, but like Sarah was emphasizing, just be on the lookout, use caution. Rain ends and cloudy skies, 40 degrees for a high temperature, if you want to call it that, about 25 or more below normal. Some light drizzle or freezing drizzle is going to be possible again tomorrow. Go more into that in longer weather. And then we have a better rain chance, just rain chance on Saturday, cold temperatures, and we'll warm up and finally some sunshine by Sunday. Details coming up. Yes.
Will you add Navarro ISD to your delays, please, sir?
Navarro ISD, Mark just told me, is delayed by 2 hours. That's added to the list of other school districts that have delayed this morning. So once again, Navarro ISD is delayed by 2 hours. We're going to have a complete list on that as well. You can get that on our website. All right. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos, what's the latest, sir?
Well, we do have problems out here back in the downtown area. We're going to get to that in just a moment, but we have been spotting some droplets on the TransGuide cameras as well. So just make sure that you are driving carefully. Thank you again for Sarah Spivey for reiterating that message. But the big problem is going to be here off 35 at Cesar Chavez for anybody that has to drive through there. You saw some plumes of smoke coming through that spot, and we're already starting to see that buildup in the northbound lanes of 35 at Cesar Chavez Boulevard, where that exit has been closed for several hours. First responders have been out there working to clear up a fire that was reported overnight. So it's been a very, very busy morning for these first responders out over there, but we're starting to see other issues popping up on the roads really quick. 1604 in those westbound lanes at Green Mountain Road. We do have a crash there that's causing a slight buildup in the westbound lanes, but as a reminder, again, just be careful out there this morning. It is not necessarily a busy morning, but when we see scenes like what we're spotting off of 35, it definitely can be problematic for anybody that has to travel through. Just one last look at the roads. Let's go over and head over to Katrina Weber, who is live at that fire. Katrina, any word yet on this progress?
Well, good morning, Stephen. It's one of these things that every time it looks like this fire might be dying down, it flares up again. And that's the situation we have going on right now. You can see firefighters are hitting this fire from 3 different angles. They have 2 aerial trucks and 1 firefighter on the ground just spraying water on this. But these flames don't seem to want to die out. This fire has been going on since 11 o'clock last night. That's when the crews got called here. And they've been here all night long. Let me give you a look at the video that you can see so you can see what things were like a little bit earlier. Now, they have had to fight this from the outside because there was a fear that parts of this building might collapse in on them. So they've been staying outside for their own safety. We actually saw part of this building come down as we've been out here this morning. It came down in a huge column of flames. Firefighters tell us that this building was abandoned. There was no one inside, and they suspect that there may have been some homeless people who had a hand in starting this fire somehow, possibly trying to keep warm, but all of that's under investigation. Now, this is the 500 block of Urban Loop. This is off of Cesar Chavez near I-35, and when I search the address for this building, it comes back showing that this place is more than 17,000 square feet. So a lot of area that has been on fire all night, and that is why it's been burning all night. There's so much area here. There's also an interesting history associated with this address. It shows that this at one time was a brothel, and also there was some contingency or some controversy over the historic status of this building. The fire chief did tell us that this was historic, but some city workers said that it was not. It seems that there is a dispute right now over the historic status of this. But either way, this building seems to be burned to the ground. And again, the cause of this fire is still under investigation. Reporting live downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
All right, now to our big story new overnight. No more posturing. Russian troops have indeed invaded and attacked Ukraine. You're taking a live look at a webcam from Kyiv, the capital. An official with the government there say about 40 people have been killed so far in attacks around the country. Vladimir Putin dismissing international condemnation and sanctions, warning that attempts to interfere would lead to, quote, consequences you have never seen, end quote. Big explosions were heard before dawn in Kyiv. World leaders condemning the invasion that could cause massive casualty and topple Ukraine's democratically elected government. President Biden now pledging more sanctions meant to punish Russia. He's expected to make a statement to the nation on the invasion later today.
And there is some encouraging news locally in regards to the pandemic. The positivity rate is finally below 10%, and city officials say our risk level is improving. With that said, Metro Health is reporting 161 new cases on COVID, and 5 more people have died from the disease. When it comes to hospitalizations, 448 people are in the hospital with COVID, 113 are in the ICU, and 58 are on ventilators.
Tomorrow's the last day of early voting. That means the primary election is less than a week away. One of the big races is for Bexar County Judge, and it was the topic of the latest episode of The Breakdown. The seat currently filled by Judge Nelson Wolff, who served that position for more than 2 decades. The panelists asked about the frontrunners in the race. Both think we'll see a runoff, but former Precinct 3 Commissioner Kevin Wolff tells us he's more surprised by a lack of what he calls motivation from both parties in this race.
We're having a turnover in that seat that we haven't seen in 20 plus years, and the level of excitement or lack thereof has been kind of surprising to me.
Other races were discussed, as well as the impact of the youth and Latino vote. You can see the entire discussion and watch the latest episode of The Breakdown with Steph and Steve. Take a picture of the QR code in your screen, or actually capture the QR code on your screen. That will take you directly to that part of our website at ksat.com.
Home buying options for some have just increased here in San Antonio with an announcement from Saha. The San Antonio Housing Authority is selling 28 one-story homes that start at $150,000. The homes are on the west side in the Villa de Fortuna subdivision on Precious Street. Saha says buyers would be required to have their income analyzed and qualify for the middle income home ownership program.
Right now, 640, about 32 degrees.
And if you fail to stick to your New Year resolution goals, experts say it's not too late. Right after the break, we have 3 tips to help you recover from resolution mistakes.
643, more weather and traffic coming up. But first, this is a crucial time of year when it comes to sticking to those resolutions you may have set on January 1st.
And if you failed to stick to your goals, experts say it's not too late. RJ Marcus has 3 tips to help you recover from resolution mistakes.
Most New Year's resolutions lose steam by now, and if you're feeling defeated, instead of throwing in the towel, think about a reboot.
Right now is really a make or break when it comes to your New Year's resolutions because the newness and the shininess has all faded from January 1st.
Health and fitness expert Stephanie Mansour has these 3 steps to help you get back on track. Number 1, assess what went wrong. Maybe you set a nearly impossible goal or too many goals and now you're overwhelmed. Focus on more sustainable and realistic goals to better manage expectations.
Whatever your goal is, make sure that it's super, super specific and customized to fit your life. So working out more, I want you to go into your calendar and place in what day and what time and what type of workout you are going to do. That's going to create an automatic habit.
Number 2, course correct or change course altogether. Changing focus could be just what you need to get in alignment with your goals. For example, maybe you realize that getting better sleep is more important than your resolution to lose weight. And 3, track your progress. Use an app to track your workouts or food intake or write out your progress in a journal. This helps you see the bigger picture.
Being able to see your progress over time is going to give you evidence about whether or not you are actually putting in the effort that it takes to reach the goal.
RJ Marcus, KSAT 12 News.
645.
Go ahead and check back with Stephen Cavazos.
Well, my New Year's resolution was to worry less. Now, while we don't want you to worry about the roads, we do want you to be careful. So let's get a look at 35 at Cesar Chavez. This has been a problem spot for quite a while now, for several hours. Katrina Weber told you about this fire that's been going on out there. This has been leading to some problems out on the roads. You can see that exit at 35 at Cesar Chavez is currently blocked off as first responders are working to clear that up. Now, that's pretty much a messy scene. You can see that traffic is building in those northbound lanes, and that is what we're spotting right there in the downtown area, where you can see that orange and red is really starting to show out there. So make sure to be safe and drive carefully. But the problems are continuing further up here on the northeast side, where a crash was reported off 1604 westbound right there along I-35. You can see that huge stretch starting to build, which is indicating a pretty significant slowdown. Little drive up here on 35 does show another crash. You want to be careful, because I was just talking to Sarah Spivey. She did mention that there is some areas of concern out there, but 35 northbound at Psalms Road, we do have another crash reported. So I would say this has been a pretty busy morning as we get that view of the map, but thankfully no big issues just yet. Just remember to drive carefully, especially out here at 35 at Cesar Chavez, guys.
Solid advice. Thank you, Stephen.
A good reminder. And right behind you, living his best life.
This picture just I think it helps warm you up on a day like this. If we could all just stay inside next to the fire, that'd be fantastic. So, and of course the cat's name, love that too, Louis Vuitton. Right, thank you very much for the KSAT Connect picture. Yeah, you need something to keep you warm today. And notice how it does look like there's a little bit more moisture out there by the airport right now. So we're going to have to watch out for that. It's very, very fine mist. But Sarah was talking about how it seemed like the mist was almost picking up somewhat. So this, as you can see, traffic is moving along fine out there, but just watch it on some of those, again, the elevated surfaces, because we are hovering right around freezing. And a lot of that is, I mean, it's not even being picked up on radar right now. So it is some very fine mist, and all that's really showing up is over here by Seguin, a couple of those patches. But that's what we still have to watch out for, is some of that mist, and maybe on some of the overpasses, although as traffic picks up, obviously the friction from the tires tends to warm pavement up a little bit. We're not going to have to worry about the ground at all, because we were so warm just a couple of days ago. But these temperatures, again, we're hovering right around freezing. Now, just because it's 32 doesn't mean things freeze on contact. But again, that's one thermometer out there at the airport. So, you know, right down the road, it could be just below freezing, as it is up in northern parts of Bexar County and up in portions of the hill country. So we'll still just be on the lookout, even on your back deck. If your car is parked outside, it may have a coating of ice on it throughout the rest of the morning. Now, we are going to see that all come to an end later on today. And then tomorrow morning, we'll have some more moisture trying to work its way back on in here. And there's a chance to see some more up in the hill country, very, very light precipitation and light freeze. And then more moisture works its way back in here then on Saturday. And that's when we have a better chance for some rain. But that's all going to be in the form of just rain, because temperatures will be above freezing, obviously, but it's going to be a very cold rain because we'll only be in the 40s for high temperature on Saturday. Wind chills, of course, are going to remain very low today, with temperatures getting up to 40. Yes, wind chills won't be as cold as what they are right now, but still, you want to stay bundled up. And then tomorrow morning, same situation. We are going to have those wind chills to deal with. And just the gee whiz for the morning, 38 degrees below zero is the actual air temperature up there at International Falls. Doesn't seem too bad around here when you look at that. All right, this morning we'll still have some of that mist. We just saw a little bit on the live cam over there by the airport. 37 degrees then by noon, and precipitation is going to come to an end. But again, some leftover mist should be okay on the roads though this morning. 40 for a high temperature today, cloudy skies tomorrow. Some light freezing mist and or drizzle, especially off to the east and up to the northeast, with some more moisture trying to come back in here from the Gulf of Mexico, and then up to 43 in the afternoon. We'll start off in the mid and upper 30s on Saturday with some showers around here. Better chance of rain on Saturday. It's going to be a cold rain on Saturday, and then finally up to 58 and then 60s with some more sunshine later Sunday and Monday.
But the good news is warmer, relatively speaking, by the time the bulk of that moisture starts to move in.
Yeah. But again, this morning we saw a little more mist out there. Just keep an eye out for that. And damp roads, too.
You bet.
All right, well, watch out. Thank you, Mike.
6:50, about 32 degrees out at the airport.
And if you're ready to call it a career, are you sure you have enough money for the future? Tomorrow on GMSA, some of the common things to avoid if you're planning to retire.
Outside with live cam. Come on, son, come on up. It'll help. Anything will help. You see some of that mist on the lens in your 410. We'll be right back.
Last night's fiery challenge continues to be a task this morning. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. A fire here downtown doesn't seem to want to die. Now, this is the 500 block of Urban Loop. This is near I-35 and Cesar Chavez. The fire has been burning in an abandoned building, a huge building at that. Firefighters have had to fight it from the outside for fear that parts of it might collapse on them. And a little while ago, we did see some of that drama as part of this building came tumbling down. The firefighters say this is an abandoned building. They didn't find anyone inside. They believe that this could be related to homeless people in the area because there were no working utilities here. No word on when these flames will be out. Firefighters have been trying seemingly everything, but nothing is working so far. They continue to have to fight this fire. Reported from downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
And several school districts in our area will have a delayed start this morning due to concerns over the weather. Harper ISD, Comal ISD, Luling ISD, San Marcos C ISD, Seguin ISD, Marion, and Navarro ISDs will all begin classes 2 hours later this morning. We're going to be staying on top of these delays all morning long, both in our newscast and on our website at ksat.com.
Straight to traffic and weather.
Well, hopefully those delays will help with traffic here. 35 at Cesar Chavez, not a great place to be. The Alamo is where we're seeing that buildup of traffic. Where Katrina is at that fire, we see that exit has been closed there at Cesar Chavez Boulevard, where traffic has been building in the northbound lanes for quite a while. Watch out there. Watch out here, 1604 westbound at 35. We have a big crash there. It's causing some major delays. Further up on 35, we have another crash off those northbound lanes at Psalms Road. Looks like we have a pretty busy morning in store for us, but of course we're going to track these issues throughout the morning, give you all the updates. Mike.
See, all the traffic on those elevated roads is moving along fine. Now, we do have some mist out there still. You can see just a bit on the lens over there by the airport. It's not causing any problems on the roads over there, obviously. And there's a couple little spots that are still being detected on radar. So still got to be on the lookout for perhaps some of this freezing, but the surface streets are fine. There's also some reduced visibility out there, and temperatures are flirting right along freezing. We still have the winter weather advisory till noon, and then temperatures will get above freezing by mid-morning, and we'll top off at 40 degrees later on. Tomorrow morning, still a small chance for some light freezing drizzle, especially up to the north, and better rain chances Saturday, but that's all going to be in the form of liquid on Saturday, and we'll make it up to close to 60 by Sunday.
Well, we will be be really ready for a warm-up by this weekend, Mike.
Yeah, we will. Thank you, guys.
All right, updates from these guys coming up throughout Good Morning America.
And we'll see you back here at 9. Be safe, guys.